Hello everybody, Fungal here, and today we'll be doing a competitive analysis of this one versus one free-for-all battle. Um, and this account here is just an alt account, as you can see, with one Pokemon, meant to be kind of sack fodder just there. And before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to my sponsors for the day. This will be real quick. Thank you to RetroDude42 for sponsoring my stream. We make great competitive content, and I just want to give him the shout out for that $200 that he sent me. And next up, I want to shout out to the PTL community on Twitch. PTL is a pretty big draft server that I do help moderate from time to time. We're in the middle of a season right now, and it's very fun. Come check us out. We do weekly watch-togethers. And that's about it. I will get you right up to the battle. And before you begin to watch us to actually understand the battle, I have to go over the context. Basically, it is one versus one, and the metagame of this kind of free-for-all battle is very different from standard OU. For instance, this gabite here is actually better than Garchomp, which is why you see it on every single team here. You do see the double up Garchomp with gabite occasionally, because they're just really good. Dragon Ground matches up very well into this kind of steel-heavy metagame. Even mods like Breloom, which do manage to kind of shrew up to also kind of counter those steals. They can't even deal with it being a ground and dragon type. That's why we also see like Gliscor here. Sandslash and Iron Valiant come out as kind of anti-meta picks versus these types of Pokemon. Of course, being able to have that, Ice Shard, being able to pack up these works weakening ground mods, and Iron Valiant being able to tank basically one hit from all of these and throw off powerful fairy moves to take them on. I will, of course, so I'll make sure it's muted so it doesn't blast your ears. Start off with turn 1. And immediately we see how these leads play out. Of course, the alt account goes away immediately, but the first most important thing to look at in turn 1 is each elite speed tier, what they can do to you, and why they chose that as their lead. As you see by the Gliscor lead, obviously it could be Poison Heal. The Toxicroak could go for a Protect turn 1 in order to get that activated and have that passive protection whenever it attacks. But the fastest mon on the field is Iron Valiant, and it can threaten every mon here. It does have access to Ice Punch, to Moonblast, etc. Liquidation, to be able to do huge damage to these with that high speed stat. So obviously the Iron Valiant here is pretty strong in this matchup. And immediately goes for the Imprison. But the Gliscor here goes for the Substitute, and we see the Sand Attack, which does unfortunately fail. And the reason the Gliscor actually is Substitute here is because they really expected the Imprison and the Sand Attack play. It's a really good kind of counter to the meta that's heavy right now. With the Imprison Iron Valiant in order to prevent the fling on Gliscor. And the Sand Attack Gabite in order to basically stall out turns to allow for Gabite to do more Gabiting. And basically Gliscor over here already had advantage. It goes for Substitute, now it goes for Protect, in order to block the taunt, because it knows that's always incoming. That's how the Imprison Val plays. And the Gabite actually just goes for the Sand Attack on the Iron Valiant, which I think is a bit of a misplay, because now, if that taunt actually misses on Gliscor the following turn, then you're also in a really bad spot, because this Gliscor is of course immune to your Sand Attack, and Valiant is the mon here that would be able to kind of stop its shenanigans for the time being. But luckily, they recognize this. They switch right out into their Gabite in order to kind of nullify the taunt. Another Sand Attack comes right in. Pivot right back out into Garchomp. Another taunt goes on this Gabite, preventing the Sand Attack. Probably they didn't want to be taunted out of their own Sand Attack, so they went to Garchomp predicting that. But of course the taunt went out to the other Gabite instead of this one, probably prioritizing this because it's shown that this player likes to use the broken Sand Attack a lot. After Val got its Imprison off, it got its taunt off, it's just out to Haxorus here. Activates a Mold Breaker, which is very good to prevent the Rough Skin here. The Protect activates on the Garchomp, probably looking out for a possible Sand Attack on Iron Valiant. But actually, the Gabite here finally does switch out. Likely 4 status, gabite run that a lot in this tier. And that's why, again, like Taunt Val is a very, very good counter to it, even if it is pretty specific for that one in particular. The Glycor does come out on the Protect, allowing the Haxorus to go for a taunt on this Glycor. Unfortunately, False Swipe does come out instead of a attacking move, but it lands into the Sand Slash, doing Rocky Helmet back to it, basically nullifying its Poison Heal for this turn by 4%, which is kind of big in the long run. Actually, going for Sword Stance here. False Swipe again, trying to chip down the Sand Slash, and it is working. Sand Slash goes for Iron Defense, but it doesn't matter because False Swipe will always leave at 1 HP anyway. And of course, Mold Breaker, ignoring the Snow Cloak, will be really, really good here. Goes for Taunt on the Sand Slash to kind of prevent more Iron Defenses from coming out. As the Gliscor finally switches its focus onto the Haxorus, goes setting up Sword Stances, has Taunt, and it is doing some significant chip here. I'm doing 11%, which is basically 5% after the leftovers. Send Attack, unfortunately after the Taunt wears out, Hexorus forgets to retaunt that Gliscor and it does get hit by a Sand Attack. Taunt comes in, does not miss unfortunately, which means that basically Hacker's in an incredibly good spot and could win the game right here. Taunts the Sand Slash right back. Another False Swipe comes out, but luckily Hexor is getting chipped down. Gambit chooses to switch in with the pressure to finally sort of PP stall this Haxorus as Gliscor continues to chip it down. Taunt goes away, so now Gliscor's in a bad spot where it kind of has to predict whether it wants to taunt the Sand Attack or if it wants to start haxing on the King Gambit. And it's actually a really big turn here. It does end up going for a False Swipe, so it does get the Hax attack off. But I'm not sure if it was worth it because now a taunt comes out from Gliscor and a Spike comes out. And now look at this, you're already at 58 False Swipe left. And basically, you're taunted so you can't retaunt this. Gliscor Sand Attack will always keep coming out. And now Haxorus cannot be the False Swiper. Taunt manages to come out on the King Gambit, preventing the Iron Defense. False Swipe keeps missing. As you see, the Sand Attack manages to connect once again, lowering its accuracy, and this Hexorus, which once looked like a really, really big threat, it's now kind of gone downhill really, really quickly. And you could already see how this metagame is probably shaping up to be. Of course, a lot of Toxic Immune Mons, except for the Gabite, because the Gabite is the premier Sand Attack setter in this tier. And of course we have the Scyther, which is a very off-meta pick, but when this plus 4 False Swipe does land, it does do significant damage to Gliscor, even more than its False Swipe, so. Hexorus actually ends up switching out on the next turn, which I'm not sure was the correct play. Of course you are resetting the Sand Attacks, which does work. Sand Slash gets taunted here, can't set up Snow Snake. Scissor probably comes in to go for the maybe Iron Defense or Iron Defense here. As Brilliant comes in hard on the False Swipe, it takes 2 False Swipes right to the face, takes a ton of damage. Target Orb does come out, goes for Worry Seed and gets rid of that pressure immediately, but False Swipe chunking this thing down. Iron Defense does come out for King Gambit. Gliscor comes in, not out of defensive worry, basically, about their Scizor. This one was basically to get the Toxic Orb activated for later on Gliscor. I can really agree with this play. Even though you're kind of relying on this King Gambit to take down this Spray Loop now. Because at this point it's getting the recovery back and your False Swipes not doing too much damage here. Sandstorm comes out from the Gliscor in order to start chipping down the Breloom, but in return, Worry Seed gets rid of its Poison Heal, and Gliscor is going to be forced to switch out real soon here to Gabite. But luckily, Gabite is well known as a perfect Breloom answer, which is why Breloom isn't very popular right now in this metagame. Because for Gabite, it can switch in really, really perfectly. It does not care about Charm, it does not care about the Worry Seed. And it does not care about the Sandstorm that your Gliscor can't set. False Swipe comes in here as the taunt comes in. Of course, no more sand attacks from the gabites. Scyther is the one to come out. Scyther is a very, very odd pick I don't see very often in this tier used. So I'm excited to see what it does. And it goes for Leer, which actually is a pretty cool attack, lowering both of their defenses at once. As right now, Breloom is just removing the pressure from its King Gambit, and King Gambit is biting that Worry Seed away and already only has 7 PP left. But the Dawn's forces which outdo the Leer, but another Leer comes out, unfortunately in a very bad position, and his False Swipe deals a whopping 7% to the Sand Slash. As Leer comes out right back out from the King Gambit, which is, again, something I don't see too often on Scyther specifically, because King Gambit can also do this. This is Supreme Overlord King Gambit, not Defiant or Pressure, which I think is probably a misclick, because those two abilities are 100% always better on this King Gambit in this tier. Supreme Overlord's a pretty garbage ability in general, I would not recommend. Since it's able to luckily reset its defense, but King Gambit manages to lock in Scyther with the mean look. Goes for the Fog Solar as his evasion. But now both these mons are going to raise their defense faster than Leer can lower it. Scyther is now getting chunked down by the False Swipe from King Gambit 2. Goes for Leer out of desperation. But it is not going to matter. We skip a few turns here, goes for False Swipe. We'll go for Rest here, but with the defense lowering effect of King Gambit, Scyther is not going to stand a chance, no matter what happens. Brought down to 1%. We're just to live this as King Gambit comes in. Another Leer comes out. And the Scyther is just going to live forever because no one wants to kill it. Why don't you go for a False Swipe, man? Why don't you kill it? It's 1 HP. I think very big misplays from this player here. From both of these players. I think if you just get rid of this Scyther, which is at 1 HP, just by False Swiping it, then you're in a really, really good spot. But I don't know, that's just me. Either way, King Gambit eventually switch out to Gabite, meaning that Scyther is now free to switch out if it wants. It goes for Rest here, gets back to full HP. As an attack, manages to lower King Gambit's accuracy in case it wants to False Swipe the Gabite. Scissor comes in and Breloom switches in, expecting this spite and managing to block it. Scissor goes for either defense here. Goes for False Swipe and manages to hit up the Cobalion for a whopping 4% damage, which is really, really nice. But in return, the Rocky Helmet chip does deal a bit of damage to it. So we're going for Iron Defense and Sword Stance here. But it does get taunted because Cobalion is faster. False Swipe manages to do a nice 6% of its King Gambit. Now on turn 994, we actually see an interesting turn here. This Scissor goes for False Swipe, but we notice that it fails. And this is due to... Why did False Swipe fail? What? Why in the world would it fail? What is it? Okay, False Swipe just fails for some reason. I guess the game is just built like that. As you see, Gliscor comes back out. It is the Rest set with the Poison on the back of the world. Typical Gliscor sets. Turn to 997 is very important because False Swipe fails again, signifying that this is the turn for Garchomp to switch in. And now it finally wakes up. It's able to go for that False Swipe and chunk the Scissor down. Let's take the Rocky Helmet chip. But I think this is still anyone's game. Turn 999, another False Swipe comes out, probably out of desperation, but doesn't do enough. Scissor goes for False Swipe. It does not fail this time. And then the game actually ties, which is we're unfortunate because we were very close to a win here from Azurius, I believe. Once the Scissor went down, it was free reign for their Alolan Sandslash. So again, pretty tough battle, but I hope this can basically show you guys a little bit more about the free-for-all metagame. If you want to check it out, of course, we play it on PDL very often. It's technically a draft server, but we normally play battles like this instead. We even draft teams for free-for-all, but of course, you're only allowed to use False Swipe because that's how it normally goes. That's not meta. You can use other moves, but there's no real reason to, considering that the damage is significantly less important than the turn count in this tier. So either way, I hope this sheds some lights for you on how to play this if you want to try it out. Thank you for watching.